Can someone explain to me what's wrong with white pride?
Yeah, sure, no problem. Where are you from? Ireland, Germany, Spain. Where's your family from? Right? We're from Ireland. I have Irish pride. I am wicked proud to be Irish. Even though I'm like 4th generation. I bet you know where you're from. And I bet you're proud to be from there. So, you can have pride of your heritage. Why are you trying to have pride of your skin color?
Well, this was quite the upload.
Now, the reason that black people are proud to be black is because we took their heritage from them, and they don't necessarily know which country in Africa they're from, or what village, or what tribe. We took that from them. So they don't get to have that Nigerian pride or South African pride, because we stole their heritage. Yours didn't get stolen.
As the kids say, ate and left no crumbs. Now, to be clear, this has been discussed previously.
But it seems that whenever marginalized people create spaces to celebrate themselves, majority groups get a little uncomfortable. Ugh, but I can't have white pride. Isn't that just taking pride in my culture? Whiteness and white culture are already everywhere. Whether it's Congress, CEOs, beauty magazines, children's books, or the Oscars, whiteness is already everywhere. This is despite the fact that people of color, including Latinos, make up 38% of the US population. And European history is already a huge part of our educational system and culture. When people ask, why do we need a Black History Month, or Native Pride, or a Puerto Rican Day Parade? It's because almost every aspect of our schooling and upbringing in America centers around whiteness. Proudly celebrating the achievements and lives of people of color is not saying that white people haven't achieved. It's a way to prevent marginalized people from being forgotten or misrepresented by a white system that has historically overlooked and oppressed them. Number 3, white pride has almost always been synonymous with white supremacy. Before you go too far down the road thinking white pride is just like any other racial pride, you might want to see who built that road and who likes to hang out there, because it's mostly white supremacists. Here are a few examples. In 2014 in Harrison, Arkansas, a billboard from White Pride Radio went up that said, "It's not racist to love your people," and that station's website redirected to kkkradio.com. Basically, white pride has a long history of violence and trying to silence people of color. Look, everyone should be allowed to have pride in who they are, but it's important to understand that the term white pride comes with a lot of baggage. White pride specifically has resulted in the oppression and erasure of people of color. And when people experience oppression for who they are, loving yourself and taking pride in who you are is a revolutionary act.
Shout out to PBS and WTZW because this was a fantastic watch that you could check out on their official website.
I think there's an argument that people make when they want to argue for things like white pride or like a white heritage month or something like that, that comes from a desire for like an even playing field, like, oh, well, if black people have a history month, then white people should have a history month too. That just makes sense, it's just math. But that's not really the case. Gay pride was really born out of a necessity. There were people who were and are and continue to be in real physical danger, not just by like families that rejected them, but also by jobs that would fire them if they found out about their personal lives. In our society, white people aren't in that much danger, so there's not really that intense necessity for like a white pride movement.
We live longer, we make more money, we have better medical care, we have higher educations, we're arrested less. So you can't deny that there's white privilege. The problem with white privilege is that I think for white people, it feels like a pejorative statement about themselves as opposed to just a statement of fact, sort of a state of what things are. What is the difference between white pride, gay pride, and black pride? Two of those come from being powerless and trying to gain power within a power structure, and one is sort of celebrating an existing power structure.
And one famous TikToker would confront this head-on as well.
I knew this question was coming, and I waited until someone asked it nicely to respond. So no, there's no such thing as white pride, in part because there is no white culture. You can have pride based on your ethnicity, like Scottish, German, Irish. You can even have regional pride, like Southern pride. These things usually apply to your cultural identity, like how you grew up, etc. And I had some people argue, well, other colors have pride, and no, they don't. Chicano, Latino pride, Asian pride, those are not colors. The one exception is black pride, and that's because they've had a unique experience no one else has. Black Americans were robbed of their culture. They don't know where they come from. Two black Americans meet. They could have come from warring African tribes. They don't know. What they do know is their American experience was similar. In other words, the thing that connects them is the color of their skin and how society has treated them as a result. You also have to consider where the terms white pride and black pride originate. White pride was coined by white supremacists. Black pride is from the Black Power and Civil Rights movement. So one represents superiority and hate, and the other a fight for equality. So I'm going to explain to you why the Confederate flag you know today is racist, and I'll do so without the motivation of the Civil War as a reason. When the Civil War ended, people didn't celebrate it. It was an embarrassment. You didn't go into stores and find Confederate memorabilia. But in 1948, Harry S. Truman, the Democratic president, moved to integrate the military, and Southern Democrats didn't like this. They were already fighting to keep Jim Crow laws and segregation alive. So they broke off and they formed the State Rights Democratic Party, also known as the Dixiecrats. And when they did so, they needed a symbol to represent their cause. And what did they pick? Not one of the national flags of the Confederacy, but rather a battle flag that most today know as the Confederate flag. Now, they were short-lived, and Strom, Thurman, and a lot of those other Dems ended up becoming Republicans. But the propaganda around that flag and having Southern pride stuck. Now, you can get it on a blanket or a trucker hat, but understand it only exists in pop culture today because it represents people of color not being good enough to eat at the same restaurants, swim in the same pools, or drink from the same water fountains as whites. It is literally a symbol of hate.
In closing, I do not believe that this is very complex. I think that we are going to continue to see this sort of rhetoric because of the Candace Owenses, the Charlie Kirks, the Turning Point USAs, etc., and many other MAGA influencers. What they fail to realize is everything that was stated previously in this clip. And I don't know if it's because they can't wrap their heads around it, or because, as we have seen with influence, there are so many mindless people who pay attention to this sort of mouth dribble from one fascistic side of the political aisle and continue showing them support, attention, which translates into watch time, views, clicks, impressions, and money. If that is part of their formula, it sucks. Because what they are doing is trying to divide us as much as possible because they get a check from it. And it could be, according to some, the Dave Rubins of the world who take Coke money, or it could be others. Pick your platform. A MAGA celebrity is on them. And will continue placing this sort of really divisive chatter on those platforms about how we need a white pride month. We don't. We don't. So I think it comes down to education, compassion, and understanding. And those are three pillars that will unlock many doors to some, and to others will continue leaving them shattered mentally. And are willing, please become a paid member here at TYT Sports. And or go to tyt.com/join. In addition, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate it. Have a great day.